Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today we'll be teaching you how to play
Overboss Duel. Overboss Duel is designed by Aaron Mesborn and it's published by Brotherwise Games, who helped sponsor this video. Now, let's get into it.
As always, you'll begin by setting up. You'll lay out the shared board at the center of the table. Both players should be able to reach both sides of the board. The recommended side is the 4x8 grid. However, if you wish to play a shorter game, you can use the 4x6 grid. Each player will then receive a random boss card, which you'll place face down in front of your side of the board. You'll place the 5 sets of 10 monster tokens, 5 crystals, 7 spires, and 6 mini-boss tokens into the token bag and shuffle them thoroughly. You then shuffle the 68 terrain tiles, thoroughly mixing them before setting them aside in neat stacks near the play area. You'll place the hero tokens near the tile stacks within reach. Lastly, you'll draw 4 terrain tiles from the tile stacks, place them in the center of the table within reach of both players, and draw 4 tokens from the token bag, randomly placing the tokens next to the 4 terrain tiles to make 4 tile token pairs. This is the starting market. You're now ready to play. In Overboss Duel, your goal is to craft the deadliest overworld in Arcadia. You and your opponent will take turns drafting and placing tiles in the collective board, with a choice of placement on your own or your opponent's side, aiming to score the most points by the end of the game, which is triggered when the board is filled with tiles. The game is played in turns. On your turn, you'll draft a tile and token pair from the market. You'll then proceed by placing your tile and token on the shared board. You can place your tile anywhere, on your side or on your opponent's side. Let's go over the tiles, scoring, and effects. Dungeons are worth 1 base point. Each dungeon will also earn a point for a different type of terrain that borders it for a maximum of 5 points per dungeon tile. Tokens may not be placed on these tiles. There are no additional effects for dungeon tiles. Icy peaks are worth 1 point and an additional 2 points if they do not border any other icy peak tiles, for a maximum of 3 points per tile. When placing an icy peak tile, as an additional effect you may choose any tile on the shared board and move it any amount of spaces in a straight line or until it's stopped by a border or another tile. Spawning pools are worth 1 point for every type of monster or mini-boss in their row. An important note here, each mini-boss counts as a unique type. When placing a spawning pool, as an additional effect you'll immediately take a random token from the token bag and place it in your lair. Roads. Each road is worth 1 base point. The player whose side of the board has the longest connecting road will gain an additional 4 points. If a road travels over the central border, whichever player has more tiles in the chain will gain the points. If tied, both players get the points. When a road tile is placed, as an additional effect, you may swap location of any 2 tokens anywhere on the shared board with each other. You may swap the token you just placed or any 2 tokens on the shared board. Towns are worth 2 points. When a town is placed but before its accompanying token is placed, all towns produce a hero. If a town already has a hero spawns in an adjacent tile that can hold a token that does not already have a hero or a mini-boss. The current player gets to choose which tile. If there's a monster on the tile where the hero spawns, the monster is returned to the token bag and a hero is not spawned in its place. A town with a mini-boss is blocked off and it's not affected by heroes. Heroes can also be slain for points. We'll chat about how in a moment. The last set of tiles are the sunken cities. They're not worth any base points, but if they are adjacent to a watery edge of the board, each sunken city is now worth points equal to the number of crystals and spires in your lair. When a sunken city is placed, as an additional effect you may turn one of your expended spires over, meaning you can use it again. And that's the tiles. Orientation of your tile placement does not matter. You'll often orient the tiles you place so they're readable by the player whose half of the board they occupy. Now let's chat about tokens. Tokens must be placed on a tile if a space is available. This requirement extends to the newly acquired tokens and any sitting around in your lair. If you cannot place your token, for example if you place a dungeon, the token will instead be placed in your lair. If you have any unused monsters or mini-boss tokens in your lair, on your next turns you may place them instead of the new token you collected. However, any unused monster or mini-boss tokens in your lair must be placed on an open terrain tile if there is one available, even if that terrain tile is on your opponent's side of the board. Crystal and Spire tokens you obtain will always be placed in your lair. Now let's talk about the different types of tokens and how they're scored. Monster tokens are scored based on their arrangement on the map, and if they match the terrain type. Each straight line with 2, 3, or 4 of the same tokens form a band. Bands are scored accordingly to their size. If a band is split across the center, the player with more monsters in the band will score the points. If tied, both players get the points. A single monster can also be counted in both horizontal and vertical bands. Here is an example that will score 7 points, 2 and 5. Matching monsters to their matching terrain will yield 1 point per match. Mini bosses are worth 2 points and protect against hero tokens. Spires give you the ability to move any tile on the board in a diagonal line any distance, or until it hits the edge of the board or another tile. Once used, the Spire token will be flipped to signify that it has been exhausted. Finally, crystals will score you 1 point for each corresponding terrain type on your side of the board. Now let's come back to heroes. Heroes may be slain throughout the game. How can this happen? Well, you can do this by placing specific tokens onto the hero. This includes a mini-boss, a monster that creates a band of any length, or a monster that matches a terrain type beneath the hero. You can place these tokens as you acquire them, or from your lair to defeat the heroes. Once slain, heroes will immediately go to the lair of the boss that killed them, and will be worth 1 point at the end of the game. And that's all the tokens. Once you place your tile and token and take all the corresponding effects and actions, it is the end of the turn. You'll draw a new tile and token to replace the empty spot in the market and play passes to your opponent. Now throughout the game you may use your boss card. Once per game, anytime during your turn, you may reveal your boss card and use the reveal ability. Your boss will then stay face up for the rest of the game. You'll continue playing until the shared board is filled with terrain tiles. When the last tile has been placed, you'll grab the score pad and prepare to tally each player's score. You'll first add all the points from the terrain tiles on your side of the board, following the scoring we spoke about earlier. This will produce your tile score. You'll then score points for your mini-bosses, crystals, matching monster tokens, bands, and defeated heroes. This is your token score. Finally, you'll score points for your boss's scoring objective if applicable. You'll add up your points and the player with the most wins. Now you can combine Overboss Duel with Overboss. Tiles in Overboss can be used in Overboss Duel and vice versa. Feel free to use the terrain selection cards to select the 5 random terrain tiles and reference the rulebook for any special notes when integrating the 2 games together. And that's Overboss Duel. Thank you so much for watching our how to play video of Overboss Duel. Now if you want to learn more about the game or pre-order it, you can hit that link down below in the description.
And of course, if you have any questions, just let us know down in the comments below. We'll try to do our best to get you an answer.
We'll talk about all the mini bosses and the monsters and crystals and spires.
What? Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here and give us that thumbs up. We make weekly board game content and we're really excited to keep going with it.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye!